Hey guys, so we're going to continue on today with our series, Bring Nothing, Gain Everything. If you've been here for the last couple of weeks, last week we went through how Saul became Paul. The week before we went through how Simon became Peter. This week we're going to talk about a guy who did not change his name, but also had a radical transformation, and his name was David. We're going to take it a couple of steps back, and we're going to go to the Old Testament, and we're going to see how a little shepherd boy became a king. Alright, so I'm going to show the video and then we're going to talk about it.
Crazy King Saul has gotten us in way over our heads fighting the Philistines.
Hey, he's just under a lot of pressure now. Plus, he's the first king we've ever had. What do you think? Another prophet is just going to appear and anoint a new, better king from out of nowhere? At least we won. Let's get you a Band-Aid.
Good. We really need a new king.
Hello? God has sent me to find a new king. Please, present to me your sons. And if any is right for the position, God will send me the message so that I may anoint him with the oil in this horn.
Wait a sec. You're the prophet Samuel, right? Oh, this is great. Sons?
No. Nope. No, not that one. No, nah, not him. Is that all? That can't be it.
Well, there's David. He's out with the sheep. Not exactly the king type.
Hello, David. The Lord has chosen you to be king.
Me?
Before you know it, all of Israel shall call you king.
Does the current king know this?
Father, stop this madness at once.
It's like an evil spirit has taken control of him.
Oh, save me, please.
Maybe some calming music would do the trick?
It's worth a try. Bring me the best.
Whoa, nice digs.
Before you know it, all of Israel shall call you king.
Your Majesty, the war goes badly, and the Philistines have a new champion. He's a stronger fighter than we've ever seen before. A massive Goliath.
What? What's his name?
Goliath. His name is Goliath.
King.
Alright guys, so obviously that was exaggerated a little bit, just to make it funny and engaging. And I can put the rest of the videos of that 4-part series, so you can watch the whole story. But pretty much, God had anointed David to be king. Now I want to give you some background here. Saul was king, and he was the first king of the Israelites. At that time in the Old Testament, how people were determining rulers was that God would send a judge to somebody who would come and just correct the people when they were doing something wrong. Like kind of how like a police officer would do, except this person was sent by God. And then the people who saw all the other nations around them who had kings went, I want a king. I want to be established as a nation. I want to be recognized because we have a king. So God chose Saul, And Saul was known to have a great stature, or he was tall and buff, and he looked like a king. You know, he had great leadership qualities. He looked the part. He had people that was already following his rule. He made sense. And what happened was God had picked that guy, and he didn't work out. And you can read the rest of that in 1 Kings. But we're going to talk about why God chose David. Now, they had picked Saul, and everyone loved him, and they kind of went with a people's choice. But with David, he wasn't really a king material, right? As you saw, he was not just a shepherd boy, but he was the youngest in the family. You see, in families back then, usually the favorite kid was the first kid, or close to it, and those were the ones who would get the inheritance. So to be the last kid in a long line of brothers meant that you were probably getting little to nothing. And if you did get anything, it was unfair to the other brothers. So God picked David, and it wasn't because of how he looked. It wasn't because of what he did or his experience or anything like that. He picked David only because of his heart. And I think that says something pretty powerful. So some questions that I want you to ask yourself and think over is, why did God choose David over everyone else? You're telling me that in this entire country of Israelites, there wasn't one person that could both follow God's rule and also look the part? I mean, why David? Would you choose David? I mean, I certainly wouldn't be my first pick. See, the thing here is that God doesn't care where we come from. I mean, he cares, but he doesn't care about our previous qualifications, our experience, what we look like, or any of that. He cares most about our hearts, where we are right now, and what we're doing to follow him. You see, David was known to be a man after God's own heart, meaning that he wanted what God wanted. He knew what God wanted best for everyone else, and he tried his hardest to make it happen, no matter what circumstance he was in. As we'll learn with David further on, he didn't just kill Goliath. That wasn't his big thing. He followed God diligently for most of his life. He made some mistakes, sure, but he tried his best, and he tried his best because he cared about who God was. If you ever read the book of Psalms, most of them are written by David, and all they do is declare how good God is and what God has done for him. That's pretty great. David's known as the greatest king, and that's not because of his stature or where he was, but it's because he followed God. And I think that's pretty great. You know, God doesn't pick us to be kings, but he does call us to be leaders and to follow him. You know, the thing that was great about David was not that he was in just a regular job and was asked to be king, and that made sense. He was a shepherd. And not only was he the youngest of the family, which already was in a pretty junky spot depending on the family, but he was a shepherd. Shepherds were considered the lowest of the low. If you were a shepherd, that means that even in court, if you witnessed something go down, they wouldn't trust what you had to say. Shepherds dealt with the dirty animals, the livestock. They had to do what they had to do, and that was it. They weren't trusted. They weren't considered really valuable at all. But God brought him to be the king of the entire nation. That's pretty great. What a dramatic transformation in David. And this took time. It wasn't like overnight David was just, boom, king. It took a while, but still. The fact that God brought him, who no one would even look second at, who wasn't even worth being called forward with his brothers, became king. And what does that say about us? You know, there will always be people who look down on us, who talk trash or just don't believe in us. But with God, anything is possible. You see, he doesn't care if we're qualified. He doesn't care what we look like. He doesn't care what other people think about us. He only cares about who we are and if we follow him. Let me share a verse with you. It goes from 1 Timothy 4:12. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young. Set an example for the believers in what you say and in how you live. Also set an example in how you love and in what you believe. Show the believers how to be pure. You see, no matter what, we're going to have haters. Whether you're young, old, you're in a job that's considered lowly, you're in a job that's considered great, whatever the case may be. If you're a kid, you're an adult, you're a grandma, you're a grandpa, whatever. Someone's always going to find a reason to look down on you. So don't let them. Always do what's right, and people will be proved wrong eventually. And if they're not, who cares? You see, the thing is that you need to think the best of yourself. And you need to know that God already thinks the best of you. So today's lesson is this. When you follow God, He will take you from a place of nothing, a place of where people will think that you're the worst, people won't even care about you, and He will take you to a place where you are considered great. It may not be immediately, it may not be in this lifetime, but God will take you to someplace great. Whenever we come to God, He transforms our lives. That's just it. Thank you guys. See you next week. Oh wait, for all the kids out there, I know I give a homework challenge every week. If I know the Kid Buck store isn't open right now and won't be for a little while, but if you do the homework challenge and send it in through Facebook, Instagram, text, whatever, I will add 30 Kid Bucks to your account to use when you come back. So the homework challenge for this week is to read through 1 Samuel 16 and just pick your favorite verse. Which one stuck out to you? And just let me know. Alright guys, see ya!